Very good morning. It is 7 a.m. on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we will take calls in just a moment at 888-658-0234. We have a Garden State weather alert, a nor'easter in effect. Snowy, windy this morning, depending on where you are. Turning to rain in the next few hours. Maybe a few inches of accumulations north and west, but we need to get the details. In just a second, we'll hear from meteorologist Mike Vetta with the detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
All right, Mike. So this is the first biggie of the season, right? We have a nor'easter, but it's not so much. It's sort of the kindergarten taste to what we could have down the season.
Sure. I mean, for most, it's going to be just rain and wind, heavy rain at that, with those pounding winds throughout this afternoon. For a few, there will be a few inches of snow out of it. Already, some of that light snow falling up in the northwestern corner of the state just filled in about the last 15 minutes here, just before 7 a.m. And some ice, mixing freezing rain likely falling right along the turnpike in the next few minutes as well. So these are the counties in purple, really north and west of 287, where you'll have the greatest impact from that frozen precip this morning. Again, all changing to rain by the time we get to this afternoon. And with the winds right now starting to ramp up, it is cold for everyone else, especially where that rain hasn't begun just yet. So as far as this afternoon is concerned, once we get through the morning with that little bit of snow starting to work its way through Sussex County now, the rest of the state stays wet, and that wind and rain combined this afternoon will not make it pleasant, especially throughout the latter half of the morning into the early afternoon. So the shade of blue is where the heavy snow is falling, which quickly changes to rain by 10-11 a.m. Only there, like the tip of New Jersey there up in northern Sussex County, stays with snow. But look at that heavy rain that's pounding the state throughout the afternoon into the early afternoon with those shades of red and orange right through the beginning of the evening rush. So it's a very wet and windy day today for most of the state. Clears out quickly overnight, and we are locked in with the cold for the next several days. And there you can see the forecast snowfall amounts minimal, 2 to 4 inches, which is not even winter storm warning criteria. So it's very isolated there up toward the northwestern corner of the state. The rain, however, impressive. Could be 1 to 2 inches of rain just today in that short time frame up until about 5 o'clock. So very wet weather for most of the state could lead to some localized flooding on the roads. And of course, the wind doing some damage as well, especially at the coast where those gusts could be upwards of 40 or 45 miles per hour. Very cold, unusually cold, with actual air temperatures in the teens, climbing to just about the freezing mark. We are running a month ahead of schedule for this type of cold weather, and as we head into the rest of just the first week of December.
So, Mike, it's funny you say that because I went to some of my old notes, and it's usually that first week to middle of January when we get the bitter cold single digits, right? And you're right. So, well, of course, you're the meteorologist, so that's why you're right. But it's sort of amazing that it is this far early, and yet is this connected somehow to the so-called polar vortex? Because if the polar vortex releases that cold air mass and it plunges down, could that be, the result of what we have?
Yeah, I mean, stratospheric polar vortex, a lot of people forget the first part of that phrase. It's up in the stratosphere. It tends to, deliver cold shots of air. This is just a round, very cold air coming in from the Arctic that makes it feel that much colder than we're used to. And yes, promoting some snow at the higher elevations today.
Yeah, there we have it. All right, Mike, thank you very much. And of course, right now I have an eyelash in my eye as I'm about to take this back from you. So I was hoping as I was blinking violently that it would not happen, but it just did. Okay, we got it back.
We've all
Thank
been
you,
there.
Mike. Appreciate you. This is, you see, when I used to sit on the set with Lori, I would just go, I'd nudge her and she would take it as I fix my. Now it's all just naked to the camera. Make it happen. All right, Mike, we'll check in with you in a little bit. Thank you so much. I know you'll be on top of this all morning. We have 36 degrees in northern New Jersey, 32 in Trenton. So we're going to keep looking at that temperature as it's right at the border here of freeze and not freeze. With those high winds that Mike was talking about, you could get those gusts of 30, 40 miles an hour. This is, it's just a matter of taking time and bundling up. And if you don't have to get out today, don't. Just wait and it'll pass. It's as simple as that. In terms of traffic right now, we have empty and tandem trailer ban on I-80 in both directions west of the state line. So once you get into Pennsylvania, you cannot get onto I-80 if you have a tractor trailer. We have a crash on the Turnpike Western Spur northbound north of interchange 18W Route 46 by the GWB. Carlstadt, all lanes open. Vehicle in the right shoulder, though. A crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of, let's see, right now, I just updated in front of me. So this is south of exit 63A, Route 72 east in Stafford Township. We also have a water main break. Oh, and they begin, the water main breaks. And this is on 1 and 9 Tunnelly Avenue, southbound North Bergen, the right lane of 3 lanes closed. Right now, the Holland Tunnel is reporting 25 to 30 minutes across. It's been that way for the last week, and a lot of that has to do with just holiday season, because normally it's only 15 to 20 most of the year. Right now, it's more trucks, more cars making their way into Manhattan. Lincoln Tunnel is 30. GWB upper and lower. Pam, I'm going to take your word because I don't have a return on it, so you tell me what it looks like. What's it looking like? Laura, okay, so Pam's telling me Laura looks worse than the upper. You guys could see that the feed. I'm having a technical issue on my end here, so I can't see what you're looking at right now. But the right now, according to the 511 folks, they're saying it's 40 minutes across the GWB to make your way into Manhattan. And we were just talking about the parts of New Jersey's extreme northwest could see a few inches of snow this morning as a nor'easter is hitting the East Coast. Apparently, they're going to see more of it up the Hudson Valley. That's where, if you head up there today, you could see a bit more snow. But for us in Garden State, it's the extreme northwest. Probably good for the ski areas. They're going to get a few inches of snow. Areas closer to New York and the shore will shift to rain, while those elevations could see that accumulation, those being northwest. The rain, though, as Mike was saying, could get very heavy at times later this afternoon, gusty winds, then that plunge of cold air, the meteorologists call it the polar vortex, set to hit the U.S. this week, plunging half the country, over 240 million people, into below freezing temperatures. Well, the airspace over and around Venezuela remains shut down by the U.S. President Trump issued an ultimatum to dictator Nicolas Maduro: resign as president, take your family, and get out, or else. It appears Maduro may at least be partly obeying. His plane was seen flying to the border between Venezuela and Brazil. Venezuela's allies, Russia and China, not a word from them. Just miles off the Venezuelan coast, the U.S. has 15,000 troops on 11 warships and an aircraft carrier. Maduro seized control of Venezuela after many say that he lost the presidential election in 2024 to opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. Socialism under Maduro and before him, fellow socialist Hugo Chavez has led millions of citizens to fall into destitute poverty and starvation, while the Maduro government made billions seizing control of the nation's oil industry. Accused assassin Luigi Mangione arrived in Manhattan court yesterday looking preppy as he took notes during the key pretrial evidence hearing in his murder case. 27-year-old former prep school student was led into the room through a side door. Prosecutors are expected to call more than 24 witnesses involved in Mangione's arrest in December of 2024, a year ago this week, on charges of executing the head of healthcare giant United Healthcare right outside on a sidewalk in Midtown. That where I go to work at WOR Radio. It's literally on the block. The hearing, set to last a week, drew dozens of Mangione fans to the courthouse, including some dressed stupidly as Super Mario Luigi in those costumes and wearing free Luigi garb. These stupid kids, don't get it? This jerk allegedly murdered a father, murdered a human. You could hate the human, but he allegedly murdered a person, and you just think he's cute with those 4-inch thick, stupid-looking eyebrows? You really think that's cute? What the hell is wrong with you? Would you think it's cute if he murdered your father or your mother or you? I don't think so. Think twice before you think it's okay for anyone to murder anyone. It is never, under any circumstances, okay to say, yeah, murder's okay. Never, period. The hearing will probe whether police breached Mangione's rights by questioning him, searching his backpack before getting a warrant. But you allegedly do not have to do that if it's in the process of an arrest. And that is not, if the person voluntarily says, here, look, whatever, you don't need to read Miranda rights first. That's under federal law. Speaking of federal law, Federal Appeals Court yesterday upheld the lower court decision that disqualified Alina Habba as the acting U.S. Attorney for New Jersey. The decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals for the highly liberal Third Circuit was unanimous against the Trump administration. The case before the Third Circuit arose after three men facing criminal charges in Jersey challenged the validity of Habba's appointment as a violation of the Federal Vacancies Reform Act. U.S. District Judge Matthew Brand, very far to the left, ruled in August that Habba has been serving without lawful authority since the beginning of July, when she was tapped to temporarily lead the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey. This will likely be appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court, at which point, if you look at every specific in what was done by the Trump administration, they did not violate the law. If you take a good look, just involves having an open mind and not being political. 7:10. Trump administration launched a new page on the official White House website on Friday that's dedicated to target and correct fake news. The development comes as a record chunk of the public now reports they have little confidence in the press, with a Gallup poll last month indicating just 28% have any kind of trust in newspapers, TV, and radio to report the news accurately and fairly. The addition to the White House website centers around a profile on the top 3 media offenders of the week. So they will list the people they think are the biggest liars of the week. It is now 7:11. Voters in Jersey City are headed back to the polls today for a runoff election that will determine the city's next mayor. The race comes after neither candidate secured a majority in the November 4th election. The runoff pits City Council member James Solomon against former New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey, who's attempting a political comeback. The seat is open because current Mayor Steve Fulop chose not to seek re-election after losing his bid in the Democratic primary for governor. Solomon is campaigning to bring fresh leadership to Jersey's second largest city, and McGreevey is leaning on his experience and long public service record. The winner takes office at a time when Jersey City faces growing concerns about affordability, development, and the direction of future local governance. And President Trump underwent an MRI in October to evaluate his cardiovascular and abdominal health, and the resulting images were perfectly normal. That's according to the White House physician. The results were released a day after the 79-year-old president told reporters he didn't know which part of his body was scanned, and 3 days after, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz responded to that by saying he seriously, quote, retarded. That's Tim Walz's comment. Clearly, Walz doesn't understand when you get an MRI, you don't necessarily know what part the doctor wants scanned when you're up to here in a tube. It is 37 degrees right now, 7:12. Garden State weather alert, nor'easter in effect. Snowy, windy this morning for parts of New Jersey, turning to rain in the next few hours. Maybe a few inches of accumulation far north and west, and rain later. High winds, highs about 40. Mike will be back with the full Garden State forecast. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leona, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime and anywhere. And we're committed giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. I'm Ken Rosato. It is 7:15, and we will take calls at 888-658-0234. Garden State Weather Alert. We have a nor'easter in effect. Straight to meteorologist Mike Favetta with a detailed Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So, Mike, this will certainly be a windstorm, right? And lots of rain later. The areas that are going to be getting snow, it looks like those northwestern parts of the state are not unfamiliar with that. But if you are driving a tractor trailer, we're told that on I-80 and I-78, 78 in New Jersey at the state line, I-80 in eastern PA, you cannot drive a tractor trailer because of the winds.
Yeah, the wind and there's a little bit of the icing too. That's always a concern. You got that big hill right as Route 80 splits and goes up to
Mhm.
Scranton. So some big problems, especially for travel in that corner of the state. And that's where you see the radar right now showing some light snow working right up along north of Route 80. This is like northern sections of Sussex County. I want to pan a little further south because there's even some more wintry weather working in toward Trenton, and it's cold enough here to allow for a little bit of mixing, some rain and snow mix, even some freezing rain. That's what's showing up here in the pink, right down toward northwestern sections of Burlington County, even through Mercer County, right down Route 206. So that's the area that we're keeping an eye on. As just the last few frames showing moisture nudging in and meeting that very cold air. Could cause some problems along the turnpike this morning. Keep an eye to that, especially as this really gets going. The future radar shows that pink, or that area of mixing with freezing rain and snow, will slide eastward over the next 2 hours. So maybe up until about 9 o'clock could be some issues on these roads. This was not necessarily part of the forecast early this morning. Yes, there could be some areas of, say, rain and snow early on that transitions to rain, but the air is very cold through and through. And that may allow for some of that mixing to occur with the snow making it all the way down just to the line of 287 here in Morris County as that snow fills in on the radar map over the next few hours. So the forecast today, yes, is for that rain and snow to get going, transitioning quickly to rain after a small accumulation. But again, timing not ideal, even though most people will be done with their morning rush by the time the worst of the storm gets going after 8 or 8:30. I still think there's plenty of cold air behind it, and with, of course, the rain to make for some very wet conditions with the big puddles and, of course, big winds later on tonight. And we're not done with the wind. This wind sticks around and adds to the chill, even going through tomorrow morning. Wind chills to by Thursday morning, 7 a.m. in the teens and 20s, and even down to the single digits by Friday morning up in Sussex County. So pretty ridiculous cold that will make it feel, again, like it's the middle of January rather than the first week of December. There go winds with gusts as high as 40 or 45 miles per hour later on today, thanks to that nor'easter pulling away quickly. And then as we head into the rest of the week, there's breezes around, but the air is just so darn cold that any wind, greater than the gust of a sneeze, for instance, makes it feel that much colder. And that will be the case even going into Thursday and Friday, especially. So here's all of the snow and rain coming out of New Jersey. It's taking its time arriving. You wake up this morning and say, hey, where's the snow? It's on its way, especially as folks in northern New Jersey keep an eye to the sky, whereas the rest of the state has that rain for most of the afternoon. And of course, the winds take over tonight and make it feel really cold going into the next few days, even into tomorrow. And of course, there's our snowfall forecast, and anywhere from 1 to 2 inches across the western portion of Morris County and upwards of 2 to maybe 4 inches at the worst case there up in northwestern Sussex. But the rain is the big key, 1 to 2 inches statewide going into this afternoon and ending by around 5 or 6 p.m. So a lot of wet weather ahead going into tomorrow. And even though we're clear for the rest of the week, even into the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, chilly with that very cold weather ahead. Yeah, it'll be chilly going into our first weekend in December, Ken.
All right. Well, there we have it. It is what it is. It's sort of like getting a thunderstorm in July, right? We just get used to it,
Yeah,
shrug our shoulders, and say this is part of the time of the year. All
that's
right,
right.
Mike, we appreciate you, sir. Thank you. We'll check back. It is 33 degrees northern New Jersey, 32 in Trenton. So right at that rain snow line in terms of wintry weather. And that's why, you sometimes get the surfaces of the roadways that are colder, and so rain could freeze. That's when you get freezing rain, right? When the rain hits the colder blacktop. And so we're seeing a lot of the roadways right now look shiny, but you don't always know if the shiny is rain or if it's ice. So just assume ice. And be very careful when you're on the road. Let's take a look right now, if we can. Pam, you want to bring up that mile marker 100 north of interchange 13 on the turnpike, if we could? Just because, there we go. So we see a lot of brake checking here. We don't have any accidents reported, so we'll check in, see why that's the case at this point. This is by interchange 13, so this is going toward the Elizabeth area. We'll find out if there's anything going on, but a lot of brake checking right now. This is the turnpike southbound, just north of interchange 13. And you can see the damp roadways and people giving themselves extra travel time. That's very, very important. Other things to let you know about, there is an empty and tandem tractor trailer bound both at I-78 and I-80. Once you get to the Pennsylvania border, beware of that if you are hauling any kind of heavy goods. If you are a trucker or know somebody, a loved one who might be, that you can't get across into Pennsylvania on I-80 or 78 because of that right now. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of 63A in Stafford Township. All lanes are open, but there's a big delay through there. Water main break, 1 and 9 Tunley Avenue, that's in North Bergen. Right lane is closed there. And your Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln and Holland. Holland is now reporting 30 minutes, and the Lincoln is now reporting 35. GWB, now I can see it, Pam. That's what you were talking about. Upper level on the right, lower on the left. You see how many more tractor trailers there are. It's all because of the season. So what happens is you had all these tractor trailers bringing goods into Manhattan from all over the country and from other ports. And as a result, during morning rush and 24 hours a day, you have all of those extra trucks. That is what leads to a lot of the traffic that you're experiencing. But it's only going to be for another, week or so, 2 weeks, actually 3 weeks. I lied, I fibbed. Just until the new year. Once the new year hits, you'll see there'll be a little kind of reprieve from that. Our time now is 7:22. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz may be in some hot water. More than 400 employees of the Minnesota Department of Human Services have accused the former Democrat VP candidate of failing to act on widespread fraud warnings and retaliating against whistleblowers. Can't do that. Minnesota is home to tens of thousands of Somali refugees, and Tim Walz is being called complicit in a scandal involving $1 billion food aid fraud led by Somalis in the state. Somalis who then sent that money back to Somalia, potentially to a terrorist organization. So it's your taxpayer money getting involved in this scandal by with people who the people on the left invited in through open borders, and literally they're taking allegedly your taxpayer money and sending it to Al-Shabaab back in Somalia, which is a terror organization trying to kill Westerners with your money. And this is something that Tim Walz allegedly was aware that there might have been something going on, but there's Somalis, and it's not fair to single out any one group. Well, now the federal government came in and said, you're an idiot. Because not only did whistleblowers who work for the state, 400 came forward and said, hey, Walz, this is a crime going on here. Nothing to see here. He ignored it. And he went after and retaliated against whistleblowers. That's the allegation. If that's the case, we're talking this guy could see some serious federal time if they prove that that is the case. So federal prosecutors are actively investigating the allegations of being called one of the nation's largest COVID-era fraud cases involving that guy, Tim Walz. It is 7:24. Lieutenant Governor-elect Dale Caldwell has been tapped by Governor-elect Mikey Sherrill to also serve as New Jersey's next Secretary of State. So number 2 will also be the number 3. In New Jersey, the lieutenant governor is statutorily required to have a second job. So he has to serve as something. So he will be head of, it says according to the paperwork, head of a senior department or agency within the governor's cabinet. In this case, he'll be Secretary of State. That's appropriate. Caldwell will oversee the arts, business, and other state functions. 7:24. A 3-alarm fire broke out early Saturday on 14th Avenue in Newark and quickly spread to 2 neighboring buildings, triggering a big emergency response. 110 firefighters came out. The fire was under control by about 7:30 in the morning. Nobody got hurt, but a large number of residents needed to find a place to stay. The Red Cross is assisting, and the cause of the fire is still being looked into. Meanwhile, in Plainfield, a fire broke out early Sunday morning at a multi-unit apartment building on West Front Street in the downtown area. 2 people died in that blaze. Over 90 people need a new place to live, and many were forced to run with just the clothes on their backs. The Red Cross and city officials opened a temporary shelter and is helping with more permanent housing. The building was already being watched by officials after some maintenance violations allegedly raised concerns. It is 7:25. The Cranmer Theater reopened last Tuesday, several months after a partial ceiling collapse in April forced its closure. The theater received new seats and carpeting, but retains its historic charm. The owners are now planning on hosting concerts, film festivals, and community events in the upgraded venue, which is celebrating 99 years since being built. New Jersey's film industry continues to grow. Last year, in-state production spending on film and TV reached a record $833 million. The previous high was $701 million in 2022. That surge included 556 productions, over 30,000 crew hires statewide. Many will love this if you're politically to one side. What brought the industry to New Jersey? How about tax cuts and tax incentives? Yes, the Democrat administration in New Jersey did a Republican thing. Let's cut taxes and lure them in. You have many on the left saying, oh, no cutting of taxes to billionaires and millionaires. Guess what? They're the ones who have the money to spend. You bring them in, you give them a discount, they spend the money, and they end up hiring 30,000 of your fellow co-staters. So this technique has worked every time it's been tried, everywhere it's been tried. Los Angeles, high taxes. Where's the industry leaving? Los Angeles. Where's it coming? New Jersey, normally high taxes, but right now they're cutting the taxes. The industry's not stupid. They go where they could save money and make money, and that's why they're here. New Orleans police superintendent has been criticized by many over the years, referred to as inept. As if there needed to be any more evidence of this, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick is now being lambasted for saying that the reason why she won't let her officers help ICE agents is because being an illegal alien is simply a civil matter. Sorry, Superintendent, but under 8 U.S.C. subsection 1325 of the U.S. Constitution, illegal entry is a federal criminal offense. Only unauthorized presence in the U.S. if your visa expires is a civil violation. But many on the left think the right is just being mean to all these poor people. It is 39 degrees now, 7:27. When we come back, there's a genetic condition that can dramatically increase one's cancer risk and shorten lives. We'll talk to a young man living with a mutation and his mother. Phone lines are wide open, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Watching on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be back in 2 minutes on this Weather Alert Day. Good morning to you. It's 31 degrees in northern New Jersey, 32 in Trenton, right at that freeze melt line, 7:30, Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. It is a Garden State Weather Alert Day. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Meteorologist Mike Favetta talking about a nor'easter in effect. He'll be here in just a sec.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So right away, a lot of people hear nor'easter in the wintertime, and we're not even officially winter, we're just meteorological
Right.
winter, but they assume, oh, blizzard. This isn't a blizzard, but it's nasty, right?
Yeah, the rain, the winds, the cold rain at that. Ken, we're starting off with temperatures, like you said, right around the freezing mark. In many locations, it's not quite cold enough to snow, but where it is, that snow will be coming down, especially right up there on the northern border with Pennsylvania and New York State. Most of the heavy rain, though, is just getting going across parts of southern New Jersey, and even mixing with some snow and rain together. That's throughout the portion of central New Jersey you see there. So with the satellite picture showing the clouds move in, and then you saw those pink. We'll zoom on in towards South Jersey, where it just started raining over in Cape May over the last few minutes, moving eastward to Atlantic City, and a little further north there is some snow and rain mixed together. It's predominantly rain for you down along the coast, but the wind will be key. Gusts upwards of 40 or 45 miles per hour later today, as those winds off of the water already coming in at 22 miles per hour this morning, making it feel very windy by the end of the day. Of course, this wind getting very high throughout this afternoon as the storm center pulls eastward. Then we have a northwesterly wind that clears us out later on tonight. That will bring back plenty of wind and cold, setting the stage for some very chilly weather over the next few days. Abnormally cold, and of course with the wind, it's kind of adding insult to injury. All of the chilly weather sticking around for the next several days. We'll be well below average going into the rest of the week, where our average high should be up around 50 degrees, 49 or 50. Yeah, we're nowhere near that. We're about half that going into Thursday and Friday, especially with the cold weather. So there's the pink showing a little bit of rain snow mix moving in across the turnpike, whereas all the steady snow stays its way up north. But I think there could be a light icing or a light accumulation up until about 8 or 9 a.m. when that all changes to a plain rain, a heavy rain at that. 1 to 2 inches expected to fall by 4 o'clock this afternoon as that whole system pulls away. So very heavy rain, gusty winds, and not a pleasant way to be outside, especially with that cold air, making it feel that much more raw into the end of the day. Then as we head into Wednesday and Thursday, it's dry, but it's very cold and sunny with those winds remaining gusty throughout the afternoons. And you can even see the futurecast here, just how extensive that system is. We just tap into the wet part of it, but the snow goes all the way back up to the Great Lakes. Then we're dry for the next few days with another round of cold air. Might bring some flurries by Thursday, but beyond that, it's clear into Friday, and the weekend so far looks good. The 7-day forecast has plenty of cold weather around. Look at the teens by Friday morning, only climbing to 33 as the high, and staying very chilly this weekend, both days on Saturday and Sunday, even going into Monday. The shore points staying even windier with those gusty breezes, and temperatures they're dipping down into the 20s overnight. So very chilly weather even through this weekend, Ken, as there doesn't look like there's any more winter weather on the way, other than, of course, the brutal colds. But we can put to bed some, chance of snow at least for the next week or so.
All right, we'll take that. Take any little miracle
Yeah.
we can get. I appreciate that, Mike. Thank you. Meanwhile, as Mike was saying, I mean, in terms of temperatures, 32 right now, up and down the state. Looking all the locations, northern New Jersey, Trenton, Cape May, and Vineland, all reporting 32 degrees. So we're right at that. Excuse me, I feel a sneeze coming on. Pardon me. Yes, it just happens sometimes on camera. I can see that all the temps up and down, right at that freeze, not freeze line. We have to watch out for that. Now, we do have a problem. It just popped up, Pam. I don't think we can get this, but it's on 295. There's a jackknife tractor trailer. You knew this was going to happen. This is southbound at exit 26S by I-76. This is going toward Philadelphia in Billmore. All lanes are closed. So that is going to be our spot. And that tells us something. If there's a jackknife tractor trailer there, that's inland going in toward the Philadelphia area from New Jersey. So there must have been an early freeze right at that point. We'll look into that. There is an empty and tandem tractor trailer ban right now on I-80, I-78, and Route 22. all because, as Mike's saying, the incredibly high winds are going to be causing massive problems for tractor trailers to try to maintain themselves on those highways. So just be aware if you drive tractor trailers that you can't cross the state line into Pennsylvania on 80, 78, or 22. We have a crash on the Garden State Parkway northbound south of exit 63A, Route 72 east in Stafford. All lanes are open, but there are a lot of delays through there. And a water main break on 1 and 9 Tunley Avenue, southbound 91st Street, North Bergen. The right lane is closed there. In terms of Hudson River crossings right now, Lincoln Tunnel reporting 35 minutes across, 25 to 30 at the Holland. GWB upper and lower, let's take a look at what we have right now. You can see the significant difference. Lower level is actually moving quite well on the left. The upper is heavy. Let's see if there's a reason for that. I'm looking. I don't see anything reported yet. Sometimes the minute I finish this report, we'll get a reason popping up on the screen from the traffic people, but don't have a reason yet. I'm sure there's one. We'll find out and let you know in the next report. 7:36 right now on your Tuesday, and there is a rare genetic condition. It is called Bloom syndrome. It's a genetic mutation that makes it difficult for your body to repair DNA damage. Now, for the children and families affected, it means an extremely high risk of cancer, serious health challenges, and a dramatically shortened life expectancy. Well, Eric Sarbu and Daniela Elena Sarbu have made it their mission to change that. After their own journey discovering Eric's Bloom syndrome diagnosis, they've launched public campaigns to ensure that kids are tested and diagnosed earlier. And we say good morning to Eric and Daniela.
Good morning, Ken.
Good morning.
Oh,
Thank you so much
good to
for
have you.
having us today.
Yes, thank you, and very good to have you both on. Danielle, let's start with you if we can, because it's such a rare disorder. A lot of people don't even realize what this is. So what is Bloom syndrome, and how did you first learn that Eric had this?
Bloom syndrome is a mutation in the BLM gene, which makes it hard for the body to repair DNA damage, which means people that have Bloom syndrome are very prone to getting cancer. Unfortunately, it's not something that genetic doctors or doctors in general think about. There's so many signs. It starts with short birth weight, with short stature, failure to thrive. And many times we looked at Eric, he had his own curve of growth. He was in the 5th percentile. And we kept on asking our genetic doctor, all the pediatricians, endocrinologists, why? I'm 5'6", my husband is 6'2". It just didn't make sense. And nobody thought of testing him for Bloom syndrome up until my father passed away this year. He had cancer with no signs, perfect blood tests. So that's when the doctor said, there's something weird, we need to test you. So they tested me. They realized that I'm the carrier of BLM gene, but our bodies have 2 BLM genes. So one of them functions perfectly for me, the other one is damaged. And unfortunately, Eric's father had one of the damaged genes as well. And when we had Eric, we passed both of the defective genes to him, and that's how Bloom syndrome.
You literally summed it better than a scientist right there, the way you cleared it. So if both parents are carriers and you each have one good and one bad BLM gene, you could potentially pass the 2 good ones too, right? It's just a luck of the draw, sort of.
Unfortunately, yes. It's a very, very low chance to give it, but you pass it. So we did. And that's where we are today. So I want to say on one hand, we were blessed because children usually with Bloom syndrome, they develop a cancer 10 years old, 11 years old. We didn't think of, screening our children for cancer. You're not thinking of testing your 12-year-old for a colonoscopy. So we were blessed that he's healthy, thank God, and now we know what to do. He knows that he needs to, test blood every 3 months, colonoscopies every year. And so on and so forth. But what's important is to let all the parents out there know that they have to test, they have to ask their genetic doctor for Bloom syndrome testing. If their child is short, if their child is born small, failure to thrive, which is called, in the pediatric, I guess, world, they have to test. Early screening prolongs life. Ultimately, Bloom syndrome, because it exposes the higher cancer risk, the risk of cancer is over 300 times more than our risk.
Wow.
And if you screen and you find the cancer at the beginning, there's more chances of survival. Right now, survival rates for Bloom syndrome people is 25 years old, 25 to 30, because people
So,
don't
so
know.
let me, if I only because we're down to about a minute and a half left, I just wanted to talk. We haven't talked to Eric yet, too. I want to ask
Yes.
Eric, what's day-to-day life like for you going to school? And I mean, does this always sit back of your mind, or is it that this is the only life you know?
Yeah, so I'm constantly thinking about it because, for one, I can't be in the sun. I try to avoid it at all times. So, um, even when it's summer, I'm gonna have like a full jacket on, cover my arms, because I'm scared even a little bit of sunlight will, like cause skin cancer because of the 300 times more risk. Um, I also can't eat junk food anymore. In the past, I've eaten a lot of junk food without knowing I have Bloom syndrome. Now I have to just work out. The only things I can really preserve uh, and maybe get me a little higher life expectancy is working out, eating healthy, and sleeping. Those are really the only three things. Uh, and staying out of sunlight because skin cancer. But
One, I think I don't mean to cut you short, Eric, because now we're down to less than a minute, but I just want to make sure that people understand this is a very rare. We're talking only a few hundred people are diagnosed with this in the whole world, right? 128, I think, right now.
128. Yes.
That's unbelievable. So let's just we're down to seconds. So I want to make sure what is a website so that people can get more information and to urge their politicians, et cetera, to get more knowledge of this to help people so they can be diagnosed early. What's a website?
So we're currently making a website for Eric is Bloom Syndrome Awareness, and we work with Bloom Syndrome Association as well. So they have more information, and hopefully we'll find the treatment soon. But we'll post as many updates as we have on Bloom Syndrome Awareness on Eric's website.
Amen. Eric Sarbu and Daniela Elena Sarbu, I thank you so much for coming on this morning. May you live to be 100 and beat all the odds. God bless you. Be praying for you and a good holiday to you. Thank
Thank you.
you.
Happy holidays.
happy holidays.
You too. 7:42, and we're coming right back.
Our Stable Life, New Jersey's first equine wellness center. Are you or a loved one suffering from PTSDs, trauma, or life challenges? Consider non-riding equine therapy, where the soul is touched by the presence of a horse with a certified counselor. Our Stable Life is a non-profit at Bergen Equestrian Center in Leonia, New Jersey. We partner with individuals, groups, and agencies to help people recover from addiction, trauma, phobias, and more. Explore equine therapy for healing. BergenEquestrianCenter.com.
At AmeriHealth, we understand what's important to you. It's why we offer some of the lowest cost health plans in New Jersey, with access to one of the state's largest networks of doctors and hospitals. Plus, with free 24/7 virtual care, you can see a doctor anytime, anywhere. And we're committed to giving back to help make a difference in our communities. Learn more at AmeriHealth.com. A health plan for everyone.
And welcome back. It is 32 degrees up and down the state of New Jersey, exactly 7:45. The Garden State Weather Alert is in effect right now, and that is because we have a nor'easter that is impacting the coastline, the coastal states, the Northeast especially. So we welcome you back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take calls. 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the details with the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So the winds, Mike, the gusts are unbelievable right now. They're not going to get much better anytime soon for the next few hours, right?
Exactly. The worst likely happening in the early afternoon, but we already have some of that snow and rain falling across some parts of New Jersey. The light snow working in right there in northern portions of Sussex County, meeting some very dry air. That's likely why it's not reaching the ground just yet. Still have those clouds around. However, down toward Route 1 and just north of the Turnpike, you have this pretty broad area of pink showing a little bit of mixing. But even the Trenton Airport weather station not picking this up just yet because the radar beam hits at about 1,200 feet high. So some of that rain evaporating by the time it reaches the ground. So this showing a little bit more of maybe what will come in the next half hour or so as that moisture ultimately reaches the ground. But still, to see that rain snow line to be that far south briefly could cause some problems on the big roads earlier this morning. Through the rest of the day, again, anticipate north and west of 287, small accumulation, but heavy rain southeast of 287, especially down toward Newark. A little bit of mixing there toward Morristown, some freezing rain for you, and of course Jersey City with the rainfall this afternoon. 1 to 2 inches of rain expected, and this cold that locks in for the next 2 weeks or so, not going anywhere anytime soon. So it's going to be very chilly for all of the Northeast, even right down toward Florida, not expecting to be at least above average throughout the rest of the month. And then for the first half of December, also slightly higher than average precipitation chances. The next few days featuring that big cool down with a slide in temperatures into teens and 20s at night, only warming back to just freezing even by next Monday and Tuesday of next week, even at chilly on the board through the first weekend in December. So very cold weather on the way.
All right. We have been warned. I always carry I carry gloves like in my car and in all my jackets and whatnot. Everyone makes fun of me, but you know what? On a windy day like this,
Yeah,
my
it's
hands stay
helpful.
warm. I'm just saying. Always wear a parka too, so I could pull up that head nice and warm. All right, sir. Thank you very much. 'Tis the season. 35 degrees now. So in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, the temperature jumped back up where we are in northern New Jersey, 32, 35. It's still 32 in Trenton right now, 33 now in Cape May, and 33 in Vineland. And in terms of traffic, we have, because of the high winds Mike was talking about, there is a tandem and empty tractor trailer ban on Route 22, I-80, and I-78, both directions, west of the Jersey state line in Pennsylvania. So in New Jersey, it isn't the case right now, but if you're in a tractor trailer on 22, 78, or 80 going toward Pennsylvania, you won't be allowed to ride it into Pennsylvania if it is empty or tandem. So the tandem is the two units back to back, and empty would be any 18-wheeler that doesn't have stuff in the back. Now, the only way you could prove that if you're just driving along is if you're blown along. So just, better. Don't do it. The Garden State Parkway now has a crash reported southbound north of exit 168, Washington Ave and Hillsdale. The right lane is blocked there. Let's take a look over at 295. There's been this problem with a jackknife tractor trailer, and you could see now the backup. We don't have an image of the tractor trailer itself, but there is the result of it. This is a jackknife tractor trailer we're reporting. It is southbound on 295 at exit 26S, which is 76 and 676 in Belmore. All lanes are closed, so you could see there the people are trying to get by on the shoulder. The actual lanes are closed down. That's causing an absolute mess. Other areas that we have, I'm just looking, there are so many reported incidents now. We have a water main break, 1 and 9 Tunnelly Avenue southbound at North Bergen, one right lane closed there. Just on and on it goes. You need extra travel time today between the rain, the wind. It's not a pleasant day. And then there's freezing on the roadways too. A lot of patches of ice. People think it's just wet. They go to hit their brakes and they slide. So you need extra travel time or stay home, work from home if you can today. It's not going to get much better through much of the day. The approaches to the Hudson River right now, Lincoln and Holland. Holland is reporting 25 to 30, Lincoln 35 minutes in, and the GWB upper and lower levels. If you take a look at this, the lower levels is just flowing now. It's moving beautifully. The upper level on the right, a little slower, but not horrible. But that's your best bet today. It's going to get you in about 30 minutes. 7:50 is our time. Part of New Jersey's extreme northwest could see up to 4 inches of snow this morning as a nor'easter is hitting the East Coast. Areas closer to New York, the shore will shift to rain, while those elevations could see that accumulation. But the rain could get heavy at times later this afternoon with gusty winds. Then we have a polar vortex set to hit the U.S. this week, plunging over half of the country into below freezing temperatures. 7:51, the airspace over and around Venezuela remains shut down by the United States, and President Trump has issued an ultimatum to dictator Nicolas Maduro: resign as president, take your family, and get out, or else. It appears Maduro may at least be partially obeying, as his plane was seen flying to the border between Venezuela and Brazil. Venezuela's allies, Russia and China, have been mysteriously quiet through this, as if to say, you are on your own, Venezuela. Miles up the Venezuelan coast, the U.S. has 15,000 troops and 11 warships and an aircraft carrier. Maduro seized control of Venezuela after many say that he lost the presidential election in 2024 to opposition leader Maria Corina Machado. The way it works there, they have ranked choice voting. So she came in second, but many are saying that a lot of the votes that he had were fake. There were stuffed ballots and things like that. Sound familiar? So they are saying that he was not duly elected. And then what Mr. Maduro decided to do to make sure that the person who should be the president, in terms of Machado, what he did was he had his party outlaw her ability for, I don't know how you do that. Just, you cannot run, you are outlawed. You are outlawed. So meanwhile, there have been like protests in the streets saying that she's the duly elected president. So we'll see where this goes. Socialism, by the way, under Maduro, and before him, with fellow socialist Hugo Chavez, has led literally tens of millions of citizens in Venezuela to fall into destitute poverty and starvation there, while the Maduro government made billions seizing control of the nation's oil industry. Such is socialism, folks, and they voted it in New York City. You just wait and see what happens. 7:53. Accused assassin Luigi Mangione arrived in Manhattan court yesterday looking preppy as he took notes during the key pretrial evidence hearing in his murder case. The 27-year-old former prep school student was led into the room through a side door. Prosecutors are expected to call more than 24 witnesses involved in Mangione's arrest in December of 2024, this week, 1 year ago, on charges of executing the head healthcare giant United Healthcare right there in a midtown sidewalk. The hearing set to last a week drew dozens of Mangione sycophants to the courthouse, people dressed in Super Mario Brothers outfits with signs saying "Free Luigi," thinking it's a joke, or young women thinking, "Oh, he's so cute with his stupid-looking baggy eyebrows. He looks ridiculous." Girls, you'll wake up and look back and think, "What was I thinking?" That brat you see on the screen right there is accused of murdering a human being. So if you think he's cute, there are like cute guys that don't kill people. You might want to find them instead of going after guys who are going to likely either get a death penalty or spend the rest of his life in jail, ladies. So all the people protesting to free Luigi, do you not have a life? Do you have nothing? That man right there on the screen is a father. He's a husband, and he did nothing illegal. If you don't like the healthcare industry, change it. It's because you voted in the current healthcare plan that we have. When President Obama was president. And I think President Obama tried his best. He wanted to make something so that everybody could get insurance. Many argue though it wouldn't work, and it didn't. It hasn't worked, but I don't think you could fault him for trying. Tried to get everybody health care. But you don't kill the head of an insurance company. That is not the solution, folks. So anybody who's protesting to free Luigi, think twice. Find something better to do with your life, like maybe help people during the holidays get food. How about that? 7:55, a federal appeals court yesterday upheld a lower court decision that disqualified Alina Habba as the acting U.S. attorney for New Jersey. The decision from the U.S. Court of Appeals was unanimous against the Trump administration. The case before the Third Circuit arose after three men facing criminal charges in New Jersey challenged the validity of Habba's appointment as a violation of the Federal Vacancies Reform Act. U.S. District Judge Matthew Brown ruled in August that Hava has been serving without lawful authority since the beginning of July when she was tapped to lead the Jersey team. It is 7:55, and the Trump administration has launched a new page on the official White House website on Friday designed to target and correct fake news. The development comes as a record chunk of the public now reports they have little confidence in the press. Only about 28%, according to a Gallup poll, believe that what they read and hear in newspapers and TV and radio is real. They think it's all fake news now. And you can say, oh, that's because Trump did it. Well, maybe because it was also that a lot of what they have been reporting has been exposed as not correct over and over again. When it's reported as not correct, they never come back and apologize or correct anything on the record. Maybe it's their own fault. And maybe that's why the TV news industry is dying on the vine. Scratch your head and think about it. 7:56, voters in Jersey City are headed back to the polls today. There'll be a runoff election to determine the city's next mayor. The race comes after neither candidate secured a majority. They only had a plurality of the votes in the November 4th election. So the runoff pits city council member James Solomon against former New Jersey Governor Jim McGreevey, who's attempting a political comeback. We will see what happens today. And President Trump underwent an MRI in October to evaluate his cardiovascular and abdominal health, and the resulting images were normal, that according to the White House physician. The results were released a day after the 79-year-old president told reporters he had no idea which part of his body was scanned because he was up to his neck in a tube in an MRI. Tim Walz thought that was kind of funny and said he was, quote, this is Tim Walz's quote, he called the president retarded. Maybe Tim has never had an MRI, doesn't realize. The MRI was given 3 months ago, and again, he was up to his neck at 6 o'clock in the morning. He didn't realize what the doctor was looking for. Maybe the doctor wasn't looking for anything. Tim is involved in a big legal scandal. He could end up in jail, so maybe Tim should keep his mouth shut. 7:57 right now. When we come back, holiday giving is taking on a whole new meaning this year with Americans rethinking the way they spend. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. We have a Garden State weather alert, nor'easter effect. Meteorologist Mike Favetta will return with a full Garden State forecast. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings on your Tuesday. 7:57 is our time. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Very good morning. It's 8 a.m. on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. We have a Garden State weather alert with a nor'easter in effect. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So the winds are incredible. Mike, what kind of speeds are we looking at right now? 30 to 40 gusts?
Upwards of 40 miles per hour, especially at the coast, Ken, and that's going to probably take down some trees, especially with the loose soil, thanks to the 1 to 2 inches of rain that fall before those gusty winds get going. So wind and coastal erosion, that's a problem for you at beaches, north and west, where the snow and ice is currently falling. We'll likely have a little bit of that mixing occur. You can already see the last frame here, some of that pink quickly going to the shade of green. So the weather starting to show the rain now taking over as that winter weather advisory stands to the north and west of 287, even extending down towards Somerset County and Hunterdon County right now. But again, that's primarily wet. It's mostly rain from this point forward. Only the accumulations happening in the hills in northwestern New Jersey and Sussex and Warren County. The wind chill certainly effective. The field wind outside this morning with the gusts as high as 20 miles per hour right now. But with the light rain getting going, changing over from that snow to rain quickly after 8 or 9 a.m. You can see that line right there along 287 with the dark blue showing that accumulating snow meets the yellow. That's the steady, heavier rain that takes over through the rest of the morning. But it continues right through the noon hour with the persistent battering rain for the early afternoon. The snow wraps up right as the rain does around 5 o'clock. And by then, again, most of the accumulation will have ended up in northwestern New Jersey, but 1 to 2 inches of rainfall for the rest of the state and could likely mean some flooding spots just in time for this evening's rush. So the latest computer update has the snow line coming right down toward the 287 border, maybe even extending through Morristown, upwards of 1 to 2 inches there for you, even back over toward Dover and Denville. But the northwestern tip of the state, right there at High Point, could have upwards of 4 inches of snow. And again, that's still on the high side because it's a very waterlogged, a very wet consistency, so that will help compact itself through the rest of the morning. By the time the storm is done, there's 1 to 2 inches of rainfall into the afternoon today, and it will lead to some big puddles that will likely freeze over into tonight and tomorrow, with temperatures down in the 30s and then the 20s and then the teens overnight into Friday morning. So some very cold weather, Ken, on the way for the rest of this week.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. We appreciate that. 8:03 right now, and we have a temperature of 33 degrees in northern Jersey and Trenton. So we're at the freeze, not freeze line. Be careful on the roadways. If it looks wet, it may be ice because sometimes the roadway is colder than the air. And even though your car thermometer might say 34, might be 31 on the ground. So just be aware of that. Let's go over the Garden State Parkway if we can right now. We have a crash on the southbound Garden State Parkway north of exit 168, Washington Avenue, Hillsdale. The right lane is blocked, and so we already have quite a buildup there on the Garden State. I'm kind of surprised we don't have more of that. Throughout the region, we're getting a lot of issues on the highways for trucks. So if you are a tractor trailer, either an empty tractor trailer or a tandem tractor trailer, there is now a ban at the Pennsylvania-New Jersey state line for I-78, I-80, and US 22. You're not allowed to take the empty tractor trailers or tandem. That's back-to-back supplies. If they're empty, you can't take them in, or if they're tandem, you can't take them into Pennsylvania, just so that you'll be stopped by the state police there. We also have issues now on 295. We have jackknife tractor trailers, speaking of which, and this is what they're trying to prevent in Pennsylvania. So there's a jackknife tractor trailer on 295 southbound at 26S, which is I-76, 676 in Belmore. So all lanes are closed. So that is why Pennsylvania now has issued this warning and this decision because they don't want what you just had right there on your screen, the jackknife tractor trailer. Water main break 2 reported, 19 Tunnelly Avenue southbound North Bergen Township with the right lane closed. We have some delays on the Jersey Turnpike eastern or northbound from the southern mixing bowl to south of interchange 15W I-280 in Newark. That is a 2 to 3 mile delay, all due to volume. Your Hudson River crossings now to Manhattan. The Lincoln Tunnel is now 35 to 40 minutes in, all due to volume and people taking it a little more slowly. The Holland Tunnel Continental is now 30 minutes. Solid and the GWB upper and lower levels, not so bad at all. Look at that. Only 20 minutes reported to get into Manhattan via the GWB. It is 8:05, and this year giving is taking on a whole new meaning with the holiday season here, and price is still a bit on the high side. Many Americans are rethinking the way they spend, save, and celebrate. Well, a brand new Unwrapped survey from Chime reveals how people are prioritizing this year, what they're buying, and how they're budgeting. Also, which gifts are topping wish lists in every region of the country. Patrice Washington is a #1 best-selling author, award-winning podcaster, and personal finance expert. We welcome her this morning. Good morning, Patrice.
Good morning, Ken.
Nice to have you on, and happy holidays. And according to Chime's new Unwrapped survey, what does the average holiday gifting budget look like this year?
Well, Ken, this year, Americans are really prioritizing practicality and financial well-being. So this may not surprise you at all, Ken, but people are saying, I want the cash. Average Americans are saying they'll spend about $1,120 on their holiday budget, but it's not about just giving the gifts. People want the cash. Show me the money. 65% of Gen Zers definitely want the money. They're saying, look, I need help. I want to pay for my rent. 51% want to pay for rent. 58% say, hey, help me out with utilities. And 44% say, I just need help getting out of credit card debt. So if you're one of those people who said, oh, it's not thoughtful to give cash back in the day, those days are over. Now people actually need the money.
Yeah, my 87-year-old mother just had this conversation with me the other day. She says, I'm going to get all gift cards this year. I'm getting all gift cards. And I thought to myself, I would have said the same thing. Mom, that's not creative. That's not nice. Today, it's like everybody wants that. Especially my Gen Z and whatnot relatives. They're all saying, yeah, same thing. So that's just some anecdotal evidence, but 100% there. So how are people choosing to divide that budget, though, among family, friends, and coworkers? Years ago, I'm a lot older than you, probably twice your age, but back in the day, you had to give something to everybody at work, and then you had to give something to everybody at your kids' school. And today, the reality is what it is, right? Budget-wise.
Well, yeah, Ken, it is. But, the survey reveals that people are still prioritizing their partners and their children. So first and foremost, that's where most of that $1,100 budget is going. In the Northeast, people want to spend about $1,200 on gifts. And in the Midwest, people are saying I'll spend about $1,000. But whether your gifter is, or person you're gifting, is a Gen Zer, a boomer, a millennial, the average person is expecting to receive about $600 in cash. So it's across generations, it's across the regions. People want and need the money this season. And if it can bring them relief, then that should be what brings you joy, right?
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. Joy. I'm thinking of, I was going to get on the religious side. I was going to say I'm thinking of the poor scene in the baby Jesus and how far we've come from there to I'll take a deck. But unfortunately, I mean, and for those who are wondering where the gift giving comes from, the idea was when the Magi, right, when they came bearing gifts, and that's where the tradition started. And somebody who was capitalist said, "Hey, we can make money on this." So 2,000 years later, but the question is though, when I was a kid, you gave checks or you gave cash. Today, everybody's buying gift cards, and we forget the gift card companies are making sometimes $6.95, $7.95, $8.95 activation fees. And when you go to use those gift cards, and you go to a restaurant with $100 gift card, they block off the last $20 for tips and tax and stuff like that. So you really don't always get the full amount. Is the gift card the way to go, or should you just go back to like checks or things like that?
Well, I think giving people the flexibility to use the cash on what they actually desire is really the thing these days. So the survey actually reveals that people really want to go on trips, believe it or not, Ken. People are saying in Indiana, pay for my trip. 84% of people wanted their trip to be paid for in full. You're also seeing where a lot of Gen Zers are saying, Mom, Dad, Grandma, just pay for a concert. Help me create a memory. I think that's what we're seeing now, that the more meaningful thing is to give people the cash to do what they need to do or provide an experience that they want to have.
Interesting. So maybe like to one of the ticket companies, I won't mention one by name, but you have a gift card for the ticket company, right? So they could buy whatever concert tickets they want or whatever. But so that's a little more creative than just a generic Visa gift card or MasterCard gift card. You're at least buying them something in the theme, maybe a Priceline gift card or something, so they could do their traveling and pay for it that way. That's a really clever idea. That's a good kind of a compromise. So younger people certainly do approach things differently from older folks, but would you say that based on the information, old folks are now catching on that this is what younger folks want in this era?
Oh, absolutely. But like I said, Ken, even older folks are saying just give me the cash. It's costing generations. And I think it just comes down to the time and the season that we're in. And I really just believe that it's important for people to be intentional about what they're giving, but don't just give what you want to give. It is important to give what people desire to receive too. You want to make it about them because that's what the season is about.
Gotcha. So you're saying that my hand stitched socks won't make it this year. I'll be the least popular uncle in the household. I always make one this big and one this big anyway. Never quite looks nice. I don't know. People are certainly getting more creative too. So what about the rise of homemade gifts?
Well, definitely. Again, I mean, I think it's about really understanding the personality of the folks that you are gifting and what would feel good. And I think doing whatever feels best for you is what this season is about. But at the end of the day, what the survey really reveals is that we want to be smart about our money. And people usually go into so much debt during this season. 41% of the respondents say, oh, well, I'll do what I need to do for the holiday budget, and then I'll figure it out after, right? After January 1st, I'll get back on my budget. And I just want people to know that it's time to bank smarter and really use the essential tools. For, over a decade at Redefining Wealth, I've been saying you don't want to jeopardize your financial health trying to prioritize everyone and spending all your money. We really need to be intentional about using great tools that help us budget and automate our savings and still be thinking about our financial health well after the holidays.
That is great advice. Best-selling author, award-winning podcaster, personal finance expert, Patrice Washington. Always nice to have you on. Thank you for coming on, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you as well, Ken. And to find out more, hit up chime-holiday.com.
Perfect. Thank you, Patrice. Have a good one. It is now 36 degrees, and we're coming right back.
Hey, New Jersey. Want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:15, taking calls at 888-658-0234. We have a Garden State weather alert and nor'easters in effect. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has a full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So, Mike, I'm just reading here that Governor Murphy declared a state of emergency for Hunterdon, Morris, Passaic, Sussex, and Warren counties. So that's like the northwestern part, which is the parts of the state you were talking about that could get some of the snow, right? In the extreme northwest, at least, of the state of New Jersey.
Exactly. That aligns with the winter weather advisory from the Weather Service. So a little bit more of a wintry scene in those counties, but for the rest of the state, still a lot of rain and wind that comes with this nor'easter. Even though they won't be impacting early this morning, likely see those impacts later on today. As far as radar right now at 8:16, we have the shades of blue showing the snow right along 202 and 287 as forecast, with the coldest air locked up to the north, but there's just enough warm air coming off of the Atlantic to change that rain over to snow. And you can even see right there the radar picking up a little bit of the ridge right there from the Watchung mountain range, showing some of those hills, allowing for some of that rain snow mix to occur in the hill and then rain in the valley, like right back by the Great Swamp and over toward places just south of Morristown. So there is plenty of cold air in place to allow for that freezing to occur. And there's the snow getting going right now, starting to accumulate there up in the western border of New Jersey with Pennsylvania. Rain elsewhere across the state. That's some good news, because we did not need snow to come in during the morning rush, especially right down along the turnpike where there's some of that heavier wet weather coming through all the way down to the Trenton and Philly area. Northern parts of the state, the future radar showing that snow continuing there in the northwestern corner of New Jersey. And it'll get going and continue to accumulate there just on highest elevations throughout the rest of the morning. By the afternoon, we'll see the rain stay heavy, but wraps up quickly into 4 and 5 o'clock. So it's not a prolonged event into tonight. Basically, put its brakes on into the tail end of the evening rush, and likely wraps up quickly with the cold weather getting going. And that is the next key into tomorrow and especially Thursday morning. Wind chills will feel like the teens and 20s and maybe even some single digits by Thursday night into Friday morning. So some very cold air on the way, kind of locking in that cold throughout the next few days. And the wind, there'll be some wind around. It won't be terribly gusty after today, but it's just enough of a breeze to allow for that wind chill to get going and make it feel even colder each and every morning. So the last few frames here of the radar and satellite picture showing that snow getting going. The worst of it's still on its way. I think most of that energy offshore will work its way up the coast and really get those winds cranking at the coastline later on today. So the futurecast showing the heaviest of the rain moving out by later on this evening. We're done by 5 and 6 o'clock tonight. All of the rain and snow is over, and then we're back to clear sky with very cold weather. Again, at most 1 to 2 inches in Morris County, maybe upwards of 2 to 4 inches. So that's not winter storm warning criteria, which is why it's only the winter weather advisory for those areas, but still just enough of a little bit of a snow to make it feel extra wintry. There's the 1 to 2 inches of rainfall forecast. That I think will do more of a of damage going into tonight, into tomorrow, because of the rate of that rainfall falling very heavily, very quickly into this afternoon. It all wraps up tonight, and we're left with the cold weather right through the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, staying chilly, Ken, with highs just barely cracking 40 degrees.
Wow. All right, Mike. Hey, Mike, stay with me 1 second. Pam, why don't we show Mike what ugly looks like? Mike, you can join me in ugly. This is what
Let's see
ugly looks
this.
like. It's that 139 cam, Pam. Let's show him. That's ugly. How would you
Ooh,
like to be
that's
sitting in that,
messy.
meteorologist, Mike Favetta? That's
That's the entrance to the
nasty.
Holland.
Yeah, this is the edge. He's right, 139.
Yeah.
Mike knows his
Uh-huh.
Jersey roads.
Oh,
All right,
it's
see
not
that?
fun.
No, that
Because
is
you
not.
sit in
That
so
is
much
just
traffic, you
unhypocritical.
stare at the sign and say, why didn't I take the other entrance? Why didn't I pay the toll on the turnpike?
Exactly. So there we
Yeah.
are. All right, Mike. Thank you, sir. We'll check back with you in a bit. We
Bet.
appreciate you. As always, 39 degrees now. So the temperature is coming up. So it looks like a lot of New Jersey, with the exception of those 5 extreme northwestern counties, really more of the most northwestern 10 miles or so. Everything else is now above the melt point, but you're going to have the high winds and the heavy rains right into this evening. So just beware. You're going to flooding in a lot of areas. Beware. Give yourselves extra travel time. Just to let you know, we can go back to that campaign. Let's let everybody know. This is Route 139 East at the New Jersey Turnpike. And this is just a combination of volume and bad weather. That's what that is. There's no accident reported. When you look at that, you think there's got to be an accident. Nope, it is absolutely stopped. The only thing we could see is there's a water main break on 1 and 9 at Tunley Avenue, but that's not directly connected to this, but I'm wondering if it's not causing people to take a different route to get here to 139. That could very well be the case because that's extremely heavy for this hour. There you have it. So that's going to cost you about 45 to 50 minutes now into Manhattan from 78. Right now, the state government of Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania DOT, PennDOT, they've issued a ban on tandem tractor trailers and empty tractor trailers for I-78, 80, and 22. So if you're headed to the Pennsylvania line from New Jersey, just be aware you cannot drive empty tractor trailers or tandem tractor trailers across the line. Speaking of which, we have a jackknife tractor trailer, 295 southbound at exit 26S, which is by 676 and 76 Belmore, and that is causing the delays you see on the left side of your screen. Just a very, very heavy volume going into that area. Garden State Parkway now reporting a crash southbound north of 168. That's up toward the Rockland County border. Washington Avenue and Hillsdale with the right lane blocked. And right now, the other approaches to the GW or to the Hudson River, the Lincoln Tunnel is reporting 35 minutes in. GWB is actually your best bet. That's only about 20 to 25 minutes into that. That's crazy. Usually this is the mess at this hour, and right now, that's your best bet making your way in. 8:22 is our time, and we are, of course, getting into holiday spirit this morning with a group that has been lifting hearts and voices for more than 7 decades. They are legendary, the legendary Blind Boys of Alabama, 6-time Grammy Award winners, Gospel Music Hall of Fame inductees, and recipients of the NEA Lifetime Achievement Award. They're all bringing their beloved Christmas tour to New Jersey. Their annual 15-city Christmas tour will make a stop at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center, NJ PAC. That's in Newark, beautiful place. Friday, December 21st, delivering a show that mixes holiday standards with favorites from their Grammy-winning album, Go Tell It on the Mountain, and their spirited Talkin' Christmas record. Blind Boys of Alabama singer Ricky McKinney, good morning to you and happy holidays.
Morning to you. All is well. How you doing?
Wonderful. Cannot complain. God let me breathe today, so that's a good start, right? What makes this holiday show at NJ PAC, this Christmas show, so special for the Blind Boys?
Well, it's been a long time since we've been to do it, but we're gonna have a great time. We're gonna play some of our songs from our latest "Go Tell It on the Mountain," but what's gonna make it good is it's gonna be because the people are coming, and we're gonna have just a great time. We're gonna sing some a cappella songs, some of the songs that people love the most, but most of all, we're gonna bring Christmas to the people.
Amen. You know, I'm sure I'm like a lot of people. You need a show like your show this time of year to get you in the mood and the spirit so that you realize that this is a recollection of 2,000 years ago. This is a reminder that our Savior came and was born on this planet for us and sacrificed himself to die for our sins. And that when you sing these beautiful songs, it's a reminder to bring us back to the roots of what Christmas is. How do you approach creating a show that feels spiritual and at the same time festive?
Well, we realize that what's from the heart reaches the heart. So the Blind Boys, we try to sing songs that make you feel good. We get in there and we interact with the people. So we have a good time. And that's the main thing, is that when you have a good time and you can interact and people can feel where you're coming from. See, we're authentic and we try to just let people know that, it's the season, and we, along the season, we give them the reason.
Amen. That is the way to go. And the Blind Boys, of course, have been performing for more than 70 years. I'm guessing you weren't there on day one, but how do you keep the music and the message feeling fresh for every generation?
Well, I've been around for a long time, and what we do, we try to interact with people. When you have been around singing songs, we know that people like to be happy. So we make you feel glad time when you're feeling sad. And that's what I've been doing. That's what we've been doing all these years. And I've been around blind boys. I've been there about 40 years. So, hey, I know how it's done.
Amen to that. And by the way, what I meant by you haven't been around since day one is you look like you're old enough to be around since day one. That's what I'm talking about. You look great. God bless you. And New Yorker praise your ability to bring godliness into unexpected songs. So what does that mean to you as performers when you get that kind of critical acclaim?
Well, it means that what's from the heart reaches the heart, and it means that, you know, if I be lifted up, I draw all men. And we've been singing to people from all walks of life. So it means that people still, still feel good at this time of year. And we try to let them know that every time you come to a program, we try to make you feel good.
Mm. And gospel has such a powerful way of bringing people together. Why do you think the holiday season takes that connection to the next level?
Well, we look back over our lives and we realize that Jesus was born on around Christmas the 25th, they say. But the main thing what makes people realize that we just, no matter what your situation may be, there's hope. And as long as there's hope, it's a good thing.
Amen to that. Well, anyone who wants tickets and they're, I'm sure, selling fast because NJ Pack is a great location. That's an awesome location. You get people from New York, from Philadelphia, and of course throughout New Jersey going there. It's a beautiful venue. The show is Friday, December 21st. You can go to the NJ Pack website and buy tickets, and then get out there and enjoy this wonderful, wonderful group. The annual 15C Christmas tour on with a stop there. Blind Boys of Alabama singer Ricky McKinney. Merry Christmas. God bless you. Thank you for doing what you do. And thank you for coming on this morning. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you. And don't miss it when the boys are back in town.
That's it. December 21st, NJ Pack. Thank you. It is 8:27 right now. And when we come back, the power of commitment, how it helped a woman save her husband's life. Phone lines are open right now. We'll take your calls, 888-658-0234. We have a weather alert right now with a nor'easter. So we'll have meteorologist Mike Favell along to give you the details. You're watching On a Jersey Morning, so we'll be back in 2 minutes. And a very good morning to you. Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, 36 degrees now at 8:30. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. We have Garden State weather alert in effect with a nor'easter, snowy, windy this morning. Meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So, Mike, we're getting a lot of random accidents popping up all over the place because I guess we're right at that snow, rain, freeze, melt line that whenever you get that
Exactly.
mixed bag temperature, you never know. Sometimes you think it's just a wet roadway, but sometimes the surface is colder than the air, right? And you could have a little
Mhm.
black ice there.
Exactly, especially on the onset, the first few raindrops that fall, like evaporating, cooling the surrounding air, and then the next few raindrops that fall as potentially freezing rain and freeze on contact briefly before the rain takes over. So, like you mentioned, a little bit, maybe a short brief period of that freezing rain and snow likely, but as the snow gets going right now pretty heavily through the next 2 hours, this takes you through 10:30 this morning. Look at the dark shades of blue that are moving across northwestern sections of Morris County right along 287 there, even all the way down into portions of Warren County and Hunterdon County as well throughout the rest of this afternoon. So there will be some substantial accumulating snows north and west of 287, but south and east, it is a predominantly wet weather event, and it's a heavy rain at that could accumulate to 1 to 2 inches by the time the whole system wraps up. So the clouds showing all the gray sky around, yeah, there's plenty of that as well. Even down toward Cape May and the southern tip of New Jersey, you've seen this rain falling for at least the last hour and a half. So for you, anticipate the gusty winds and, of course, the heavy rainfall upward of 2 inches by the time the day is done. Could see some amounts of winds that will increase into the 40-45 mile per hour range. Right now, you have a wind gust of 24 miles per hour, and the worst hasn't even begun. So very gusty winds through this afternoon, especially at the coast, could take down some trees. You see the 35 mile per hour gust there by noon as the system pulls away and gives us some very gusty winds then from the north and west beginning later on tonight into tomorrow. That northwest wind really drives down temperature and makes it feel extremely colder than average going into the next few days, especially with those winds lasting throughout Thursday and even into Friday. So while our almanac says we should be at 49 degrees, we're not going to see the 40s for at least the next several days, possibly even until next week. The last few frames here showing the snow getting going and that little bit of icing changing over to rain just in the last few minutes. So that's some better news for the rest of the day with the zoomed in view showing the heavy rain departing eastward by 5 o'clock tonight, and then temperatures really taking a nosedive right down into the 20s by tomorrow morning, and then the teens come tomorrow night into Thursday morning. Actual air temperatures teetering there on teens, and then down into what will feel like the single digits by Friday morning. So some very cold weather on the way as we head into the rest of the week. The wider picture showing snow heading all the way up to Canada. It's the same system, but we're primarily on the wet side of it for most of New Jersey. And then with another reinforcing shot of cold air, it stays chilly going into the next few days. Clear sky, by the way, going into Friday. And then another system that skips out to sea and likely misses us this weekend. So I think we're dry heading to Saturday and Sunday. But the 7-day forecast has that cold weather staying around. 19 degrees waking up on Friday morning, only climbing to freezing briefly by the afternoon, and staying cold right through the upcoming weekend, even with the shore points staying chilly as well. Highs for you down the shore only making it into the low 40s right through the next several days. So very chilly weather after make it through the rainy and windy period for many today, Ken.
All right, there you have it. Thank you so much, Mike. It is 36 degrees right now in northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trenton, and it's 34 degrees in Cape May, 35 degrees now in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's go over to, we're going to do 495 first. Yes, we are. There it is. So 495, this is the approach there to the Helix, which will get you to the Lincoln Tunnel. And you can see this is an absolute mess right now, bumper to bumper, all due to volume. This is not because of a crash or anything, all due to volume. But right now, they're telling us about 40 minutes in via the Lincoln Tunnel if you want to go in that way, and just an absolute mess. Pam, our director, loves the Lion King every time that's her landmark. When you see the Lion King there on the left, Uh, both or several of us here for the company used to work for Disney. We worked at ABC. So there you go. We're very happy for The Lion King. It's a great show. Nonetheless, thought I would digress. It's not much better, by the way, if you decide, hey, instead of the Lincoln Tunnel, I got an idea. I'm going to go a little further south. Let's go to the Holland Tunnel again into Manhattan. Well, that would take you to 139. And oh, this isn't the shot. We have a different shot. That wasn't the shot. It's the other shot from 139. That's the one. That's the shot we're talking about. So this is 139. It'll get you to the Holland Tunnel eventually. It looks like it's going to cost you 35 to 40 at least. That has not moved in the last 15 minutes. Lots of extra travel time making your way in. People on the left, by the way, are local roads. That's why they're flowing. The people in the toward the right who are stopped, they're the ones trying to make their way into the Holland Tunnel. Other roadways to tell you about, I-80, I-70, Route 22, all have a tandem and empty tractor-trailer ban making your way from New Jersey into Pennsylvania. We have a disabled tractor-trailer on Port Street, eastbound area, Marlin Street in Newark, with right lane block that's right downtown causing problems. Also in Newark, we have a disabled vehicle on Route 21 southbound at East 3rd Avenue with a center lane closed. A lot of problems, especially involving big vehicles, trucks, etc. Let's go over to 295 right now, shall we? We have a problem with that roadway right now. There was an earlier jackknife tractor trailer. Oh, look at that. So we have an accident on top of the fact that there's a jackknife tractor trailer. You can see on the right side that just happened. So that's going to cause more problems. But this is in Belmore as you make your way toward 76 and 676 toward the Pennsylvania line by Philadelphia. Just a real big mess. GWB, upper and lower levels. This is the least messy and most surprising to us because according to the reports from the traffic folks, that apparently has a problem, but I don't see it. I think the problem has been fixed. We look, who you can believe, me or your own lying eyes. That is clearly the best way into Manhattan. Upper level on the right, there's not a vehicle there. Lower level on the left. And the report says 25 to 30. I bet you that's only 15 minutes into Manhattan right now, but things could change. So take advantage of it as you can. 837. How about a story of courage, determination, and the extraordinary power of refusing to give up? Therese Di Pasquale is a New Jersey-based author, advocate, and agent whose life changed forever when her otherwise healthy husband suddenly ended up hospitalized and, get this, given less than a 1% chance of survival. So instead of accepting the prognosis, Therese became his fiercest advocate, asking a lot of questions, pushing for answers, and navigating a medical system that certainly can feel overwhelming for families facing a crisis like this. Therese's efforts saved her husband's life. Imagine being told less than 1%, but it saved his life. And their journey became the inspiration for her upcoming book, Advocate, which will be released December 20th. The book is both a memoir and a call to action, showing families how to use their voice inside the healthcare system and how hope, persistence, and faith can make a life-changing difference. And to Therese, we say good morning. Happy holidays.
Good morning. Happy holidays.
Nice to have you on. So tell us about when you learned your husband had less than a 1% chance to survive. You go from everything's just fine to I got to get to the hospital to, oh, he doesn't have a shot. How does that all happen? Tell us the story.
So I had found my husband overnight unresponsive on our couch. He was completely dead. That 911 call led to 10 months in an ICU, 3 different ICUs. 2 New Jersey hospitals had given up on him, one of the hospitals in the very first week. And I refused to accept the answer. I learned how to advocate and I just kept pushing, which ultimately saved his life. And I realized quickly that there were a lot of families that don't know how to advocate in that ICU and accept the answers of these medical professionals. And that was my driving force behind this book is, the people need this information. They need to know that they can use their voice, they can ask questions to give their loved one the best chance possible.
Well, Torres, what did they say that he had? What would they think that he had at that point? And why was he unresponsive or likely dead?
Yes, he had a blood clot that had traveled from his leg into his lung. They had labeled it as COVID at the time. It was during the end of 2021. And when the ambulance took him to that first hospital, within the first week there, they told me the ventilator was failing and that was the end. And I had to come say goodbye, make arrangements, call the family, and that was the end of it. And through my research, I had asked them about ECMO, which is maximum life support for somebody in this situation. And their reply to me was, "We don't have that here." And I said, "Well, I'm going to find a hospital that does, and I'm going to have him transferred." And they said, "Good luck." And I did. I
Unreal.
did. I found another hospital 20 minutes away. I rallied a lot of people to help me. I made a lot of phone calls. I was resilient. I didn't sleep. I didn't do anything but focus on getting him the best care possible. And once we got him transferred, and got put on ECMO, there was just a whole slew of challenges that came after that.
So, I mean, I'm just curious. Did you go back to the people at the other hospitals and say, "Excuse my foul language here. Did you? You're an ass. You're an ass. Here's my husband. He's fine. You said he was dead." I mean, seriously. Here's the Italian. You're Italian. I'm Italian. This is the Italian man. So I would slap the guy right in the face. I'm sorry. That would be my violence. And I say, "You're a stupid ass. You left my husband for dead." That's the way I would respond. I'm sure that was what you felt like deep down. Did
Truth
anyone ever say we screwed up?
Truthfully, that is exactly how I felt. But in the moment, I had never been in an ICU before. And the reality of the matter is, nobody thinks out the life or death that happens unexpectedly. Nobody is ever prepared for it, which is also why I wrote the book. So the truth of the matter is, in that moment, although I felt exactly the way you were describing, my focus had to be on the next steps. That part came after, when he finally came home and is now living a normal, perfect life.
All right, Therese, only because we're already running toward commercial here, I want to get your website out there for more information or to get that book.
Yeah, my website is www.terezipasquale.com. It comes out December 20th. It will be on Amazon. And then shortly after that, bookstores, hospitals, airports. I'm going to have it everywhere. Everybody needs this book.
Amen to that. New Jersey-based author, advocate, and agent. Be your own advocate and your loved one's advocates. Do not take what a hospital says for fact. Perez de Pasquale, thank you for coming on this morning. Merry Christmas. I'm sure it's a happy one for you now, and may the book be a huge success.
Thank you for having me. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. It is now 8:43. We're coming right back.
Hey, New Jersey, want to choose how you live as you age? Tune into AARP New Jersey's new show, The Power of Us, the show that celebrates aging with dignity, purpose, and joy. From protecting yourself against fraud, to staying healthy and aging in place, to finding purpose through volunteering, we've got the tools, tips, and stories to help you thrive. Join us on ONNJ and discover the power of us.
Welcome back to New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, 845, taking your calls at 888-658-0234. We have a Garden State weather alert. There's a nor'easter in effect, and meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
So we're talking high winds and lots of rain. In fact, even later in this afternoon, the rain could even get heavier, right?
Yeah, rain gets really heavy right around the lunch hour, accumulating to about 1 to 2 inches for most of New Jersey. That turns into snow in the northwestern corner of the state, where it's snowing right now. We're over by Morristown, right along the line from 287 down towards Somerville. There's a little bit of mixing occurring in this pink area that could take you down toward maybe the Parkway over through Union and Essex County. But beyond that, it is rain at the coast, and that rain lingers right through this afternoon. A little further south along along the turnpike, going north and west of there, some light mixing occurring with that shade of pink, but again, right toward the coast and the coastal areas of the state, staying all rain right now. And that'll be the case through the rest of this morning as some of that water that liquid rain starts to work its way inward against that cold air. Where the snow will be falling, upward Wayne and West Milford could get a small accumulation before this wraps up later today. As soon as 1 or 2 o'clock, I think we'll see the snow taper and change over to rain in those areas. Again, only northwestern sections of Sussex County we stay frozen today, with that snow lingering into the end of the event closer to 3 or 4 o'clock. But for the next 2 weeks, we are locked in with the cold, not anticipating for any big change or swing or warm up in temperatures for the next few weeks, even into the middle of December, as the 7-day forecast has some very cold weather ahead, not just through this week, but even into the weekend and beyond. Temperatures stay really cold, with wake ups in the 20s, even early next week, and temperatures just making it to the freezing point. That is normal for the end of January. And here we are in the beginning of December with this cold weather. So that should deflect another system. The cold weather actually deflects another system out to sea, which is funny to think when you say, wow, it's too cold to snow. That'll be the case this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. The system that was forecast to come by and give us a little bit of rain, snow on Friday night into Saturday, too cold, stays out to sea. And so we're kind of protected by this chilly weather. It's kind of hard to wrap your head around.
Our old buddy meteorologist Bill Evans used to say that when we used to get those bitter blasts that it was too cold to snow. And I guess is it just you just don't have the updraft because of the temperature of moisture right from the bodies of water because it's just so cold.
Right, and cold air is so dense, so that dense air just pushes any of that moisture right out to sea.
Yeah, because we always just assume that places like, by the poles and whatnot, they get snow all the time. They don't, right? They don't get much snow at
No,
all. They just stay
no, the
cold.
Arctic is technically classified as a desert because it doesn't snow very much up there.
See that? We learn something
hmm
every day from meteorologist Mike Favetta. All right, my friend, I know you're busy and you got a busy day ahead, so we'll catch you again tomorrow morning. But thank you so much for keeping us
You
safe
bet.
this morning. We appreciate you as always. 849, 36 degrees northern New Jersey, 33 degrees in Trent, 34 both in Cape May and Vineland right now. In terms of traffic, we have a lot of it. It's scattered. And we should just let you know that the state has now issued an operational activity and speed advisory in the Garden State Park, again, in the northern part of the state up near the Rockland County border. This is in both directions from Pascack Valley Toll Plaza in Washington Township to the New York State line in Montvale. All lanes are open, but salting is in progress. So if you see salters, get out of the way, let them do their job. They're trying to keep the road safe for you. We also have issues on I-78 westbound now, west of exit 6, which is in Greenwich Township. 2 right lanes of the 3 lanes are closed on I-78. It's going out a little bit further west. So again, north and west is more impacted than east and south in New Jersey. We have a crash on 295. Do we have the 295 cam, Pam? I think we do. 295 northbound, north of exit 28. Black Horse Pike and Haddon Heights. The right shoulder is closed. I do know that Pam has the Route 20. There we go. And there it is. You could see that. So it's on the left side of. Oh no, I guess that's the rubber thing on the left side, right? So there we have it. The wreck is off there on the right side of the road. There we have it. So that is again on 70. No, that is not 78. I'm mixing up. That's 295. Thank you, Pam. I appreciate that. Now, if we can go over to Route 21, we'll switch over to the 21 cam. This is 21 down toward Newark. There's an area there that has been giving us a nightmare for much of the last hour. This is right as you get into downtown Newark. There's a crash there involving a tractor trailer. A lot of tractor trailer issues because I think we had black ice issues this morning. And so we have jackknife tractor trailers and accidents throughout the area. It looks like it's picking up a little bit, though. Just to give you an idea, though, of what we've been encountering. 78, 80, and 22 as you make your way to the Pennsylvania border. If you have a tandem tractor trailer or an empty tractor trailer, you're not allowed into Pennsylvania because of the high winds, 40-mile-an-hour plus gusts that we're getting today. And the Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln and Holland are both reporting 35 to 45. All due to volume, because people, I think, were avoiding the GWB. But if you look at the 8095 approach to the GWB, check this out. It's flowing beautifully. For whatever reason, everybody started to go to the Lincoln and the Holland, causing problems there. GWB will get you in 15 minutes. There you have it. 8:51, as temperatures drop, many people assume pest problems disappear for the winter, but experts say the colder months can actually be one of the most important times to protect your home. Rodents, they're mammals, right? They're looking to stay warm, and insects hide inside walls and basements. So now's the perfect time to go get them. Craig Sansig is the Vice President of Operations at Viking Pest Control. We don't think about this, Craig, but good morning. I'm glad you're on to talk about it. Why is winter actually a major reason for pest problems?
Good morning. Thank you for having me. They're a lot like us. They want to stay warm when temperatures fall. So, they're taking advantage of gaps, cracks, crevices, moving into your home. And a lot of times we think that something's just occasionally coming in when there may actually be large populations hidden from you.
How do we know? I mean, they would be hiding in the walls or under the home, right? So how do we know if they're there?
Usually one of the big ways you tell is what we'll see is when it does warm up, when you hit those days that creep into the 50s, you start to see small amounts of activity, either stink bugs flying around, box elder bugs, ladybugs. These are all things that overwinter as adults, and a lot of times they're actually in attics under insulation. They get up through soffits, they get up into attic areas, and it's an area we don't often think about. It's usually where we hide our holiday decorations, and we really don't think pest issue.
And we forget, we're cozy inside a nice, warm, insulated house with walls, and we forget that those soffits are exposed to the outside on purpose, right? So that we have ventilation, but that means bugs can get in, and then once they're in, they don't like to leave. They kind of like it here if you charge them rent. What are the most common pests that New Jersey homeowners see during the colder months?
Rodents are the predominant pest and probably the biggest concern due to the risks of things like fire and bringing in parasites and such into the home, and contamination of food and foodstuffs. But things like box elder bugs, stink bugs, ladybugs, cluster flies, that's a common one in many areas. They really can come in large numbers, and I've actually seen it so bad that people couldn't use rooms of the house due to some of these pest infestations.
Unreal. I remember I had rented a house many years ago, and in the basement they had carpeting. And I remember, and it was dry. There's no water or anything like that there. But I remember that we had these eeny, weeny, weeny, tiny beetles. I don't know if they were carpet beetles or flower beetles. When I tell you I tried everything on my own, I would vacuum every inch, every corner, every single day. We used boric acid. We tried everything. And then 2 days later, you see one of them crawling up the wall. They were like microscopic, these little tiny things. I noticed. Other people probably didn't. How do you get rid of something like that?
Well, really, that's the best time to call a professional because we have a larger selection of products that we can utilize, and there's ways that we can use their biology against them. We can actually give them something like a growth regulator or something that stops development of juvenile stages. So, sometimes having that professional and that more application equipment, more treatment options is really what's needed to stop an issue.
And this is why you, sir, are the professional. You know this stuff clearly. You folks are licensed to deal with these chemicals and things like that, so you know how to administer that stuff safely. You don't want to try to mess with this stuff on your own as a homeowner unless you're a licensed professional like yourself. What preventative steps can homeowners take though during the winter season? I mean, one of the things I know, I used to love to bake a lot, bake stuff with flour. If you're not going to use flour today, don't buy it. That's what I've learned.
Yeah, we absolutely any type of baking mix. You use half a box of pancake batter or pancake mix. Those are the things you want to watch and discard routinely because they can become infested over time. Yeah, also, removing leaf litter from the outside of the house, especially as it accumulates underneath decks, that's a major source of warmth as those leaves decompose, keep pests safe. And if you have an area of safety for the pest along the foundation of your home, that can be problematic. Same thing with
Yeah.
wood piles. A lot of times people have wood piles against their home, and that's really not the best place to store firewood. And we always recommend that you only bring the firewood in that you need. What you're going to burn that day, because you could bring pest issues in unintentionally.
And even just getting back to the mixes and things like that, it's not. I had an aunt who said, "Well, I sealed it in plastic baggie and everything." The bugs are in there when you bought them in a store, right? The eggs are there and they just hatch. So you're bringing them in that mix. It just the bugs land on the wheat kernel. It survives the milling, and that's how it gets in your house. So it's not that they flew in, but it is what it is. For those unfamiliar with Viking pest control, you have a different approach and a more effective one. Talk about that in our last minute here.
Well, I think a lot of companies try to attempt to control pest issues by applying the same template over every home. No two houses are the same, no two infestations are the same. And really, you need to do a root cause analysis and analyze that structure and figure out, hey, what do we need to do different to solve this pest issue? The other thing is we're a large company. We do have the support of entomologists. We do have the support of international experts, and we're able to help people that way. So a lot of times, it's nice to deal with a small mom and pop, but they may not always have the resources that we have.
Gotcha. What's a website for more information, Craig?
VikingPest.com is a great place to reach us. It's VikingPest.com, or you can reach us at phone number 1-800-618-BUGS, 2847.
I love it. Vice President of Operations at Viking Pest Control, Craig Sandig. Thanks for coming on. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. And that's on New Jersey Mornings for your Tuesday. Have a wonderful day and stay off the roadways. See you again tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.